In this project, we're going to be building out a responsive blog application with the help of Sanity.io, which is a headless CMS, as well as shadcn, Material UI, Tailwind CSS. We're going to be styling and building out this modern UI application. This application is going to have a couple of cool features, such as the authentication process. For example, when a user goes to read one of the blog posts, they have to be authenticated in order for that to occur. So as you can see, we're brought right into the authentication page. This is going to be handled by Kinde Auth. It's going to allow the user to log in using a variety of providers, such as email and or LinkedIn. Now, when a user signs in, then as you can see, it shows you if a blog post has been saved via the heart icon. Now, a user can save another blog post simply by clicking the heart icon. We're also brought to that blog post. With the save implementation, the user is able to go over to the saved route and see all our saved posts. In order to unsave our post, we can just go ahead and click the heart icon. Upon having multiple items within our saved route, the search implementation as well as the multiple fields are brought in, as well as the pagination. Removing a blog post and keeping it at a minimum of 6 removes the pagination as well as the category fields. Due to our saved content being stored in our local storage, the heart icon persists even after a refresh. Within our blog post, we can also add comments as long as we're logged in. We have the option of switching between light mode and dark mode, as well as that of the system. Lest I forget, we're going to be using Supabase Postgres SQL to add comments or to save the comments within the database. That way, the comments are always fetched when the post is loaded. If you guys enjoyed this demo, don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe. Also, a special shout out to Jan Marshall and UB Codes, as I drew inspiration from their projects to create this. I'll leave a link in the description for their channels. Now, having previewed the demo, let's jump right into the project. As you can see, guys, we've set up our Next.js environment. We did so by using npx create next app at latest, and then this is what we got. So now we can go ahead and install all the dependencies that we need. So the first one we're going to be installing is our headless CMS, which is going to be Sanity.io. Now, I have made a video on my channel regarding CMSs, so traditional and headless. So if you want to know more about how headless CMSs work, you can go ahead and check out that video. I'll try and link it in the description, just put it up top somewhere here. So yeah, that's a great refresher on how CMSs work. But with that said, let's go ahead and head over to sanity.io and create our Sanity project. So in order to create that, let's open this up. We're currently in Sanity.io, so to get to this web page, all you have to do is go over to sanity.io and you should reach this web page. Now I already have an account, so when you come over here, if you don't have an account, over here it should say something in regards to creating an account. Now go ahead and create a free account, and when you create a free account, you're going to be able to come over here and go to create new project. So we're going to head over to create new project, and the project name is just going to be called blog YouTube. We're going to be starting from scratch with the CLI, so let's go ahead and create project. So it's going to take a couple of seconds, and just like that, we're all done. And all we want to do now is just copy this we just want to copy this command and run it in our terminal. So we can go ahead and close out of that because that's all we're going to need from there, and open this up more. So before we actually paste it in, let's go ahead and do something. So within blog.app, let's make this a little bigger so you guys can see it better. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Awesome. So within blog app, we're going to go ahead and create a new file, and this is going to be called .env.local. Awesome. And then we're also going to create another file called .env. And then with that, we're going to put it in .getignore. So currently by default, we have .env.local within getignore. We also want to place in .env and save that. And then we want to close out of that. And the reason we're doing that is because this command is going to place things within our .env.local file. So we want to make sure we have that readily available. So we'll go ahead and paste that in there and just enter. And it's going to ask us a couple of questions. So looks like you already have a Sanity account suite. So if you don't have a Sanity account or you're not logged in, it's going to have you log in, but you should be fine. So project path, fetch an existing path. There we go. So let's see. Okay, so we actually have an error here. So let's go to exit. Let's just cancel this out. Clear. Let's make sure nothing installed. Yeah, we're fine. So we want to make sure we're in the right path. So now we can just place this in there. Awesome. There we go. So it says here it says looks like you already have a Sanity account suite. If you're not logged into your Sanity account, it's going to have you log back in. So you just go ahead and put the same credentials you already put in. And now it's going to say, would you like to add configuration files for a Sanity project in this Next.js folder? We're going to say yes. Would you want to use TypeScript? We're not using TypeScript. Would you like to embed Sanity Studio? This is very important. We want to make sure we say yes. And then it says, what route do you want to use for the studio? We want to keep it as /studio, so just go ahead and hit enter. We want to use a clean project with no predefined schemas, so we're going to enter that. Would you like to add the project ID and dataset to your .env local file? So this is why we created that. Well, this is one of the reasons why we created that. So we're going to go ahead and hit yes, and it's going to go ahead and install those dependencies for us. So while it's doing that, let's give it a second for it to finish installing those dependencies. So you'll see that on your left side, all this have a change to it. You can see sanity.cli.js, sanity.config.js. So all that's coming from this command that we ran. So we're pretty much almost done. Let's just give it a second for it to wind up here. There we go. So it's all done. We can just go ahead and clear this out, and that's it. We've set up our Sanity IO within our application so far. So Studio and everything's within it. So now what we want to do is we want to go back to our we want to come right into our browser, and within our browser we're going to go to ui.shadcn.com. So that is ui.shadcn.com, and here we're going to go to docs, and this is one of the libraries that we're going to be using for our UI. And we're going to go to installation, go right over to Next.js. We're going to copy this command here, using npm, and we're going to come into this blog app. Let's close this out, and we're going to paste that in there. So let's make this smaller as well. And here it's going to say which style do you want to use. We're going to be using New York style. This is going to be Zinc CSS variables for theming. We're going to say yes, and it's going to go ahead and install all that. So if we scroll down here, it's going to have us add our first component to the project, which is going to be add button. We're going to copy this npm, and let's clear this out, and we're going to paste that in there. So let's see. Awesome. There we go. So we have our first component added. So now let's open this up. Now we want to add dark mode, so dark and light mode. So we're going to go over to Next.js. We're going to install this Next themes. Let's come over here and just install that in there. Awesome. So we have that. Now there's several more steps. So here it says we need a component. We need component/theme provider.tsx. We're not going to be using TSX, but we're still going to copy this, and then we're going to go into our source folder, and within components we're going to create a new file, and this file is going to be called theme provider. So we're going to say theme provider, and this is going to be JSX, and we're going to place that in there like such. Cool. Now, because this is a TSX file, we want to take this part out. So this import type theme provider props, we're going to take that out, and we're going to take this theme provider props out as well. And we're just going to save that. And then we're going to close out of that. So just like that, we have our component/theme provider. Now it's going to tell us to wrap the root layout with this theme provider. So let's copy this theme provider here, and we're going to go to our layout, which is going to be an app. So we're going to go to layout. We can go ahead and delete all this local font, and let's configure this. The title here is going to be a blog app, and then our description is going to be YouTube blog app project. Cool. And then here we can take out this whole class name. So before we do that, let's go ahead and wrap. There we go. So let's take out this, save it, and let's make sure we just bring that in there. Awesome. And then we're gonna also bring this in there. Cool. So now we have the children. We have the theme surrounding the children. So the theme provider is now surrounding the, or it's encapsulating the children basically. So what it does is now we can select. We're going to be able to toggle through light mode, dark mode, and whatever. It's going to make sure the whole application has that setting to it. So once that's done, we can add this toggle mode that we just spoke about. So we're going to go ahead and select this. So we're going to copy that, and then we're going to come over to components, create a new file, and this one's going to be called mode toggle. So mode toggle.jsx. Awesome. And then we're going to paste that in there and save it. So that's about it. So just like that, we're done with the dark mode and stuff. So that's about it. We can go ahead and let's open this up. Now we can go over to card. So let's go over to, there we go. So now we can install the card dependency, npm. And let's see, did we already install that? So no, we did not. So let's go ahead and install the card dependency. So we're gonna install that. Awesome. Clear out of this. And we're also going to be installing a couple other things, such as the toggle. So where's toggle? So we're going to come over to toggle here. I'm going to copy this, npm. Come back over here. I'm going to paste this in there. And while that's installing, we're going to find another one. And it's going to be, let's see, what do we have so far? Drop down menu. So that's what we're going to have. So lastly, we're going to have drop down menu. We're going to copy this, npm. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to install that in there. So let's see. Let's go over here. Let's see all we've installed. So we have, yep, that's good enough. So we've installed all that. So that's properly fine. So let's go ahead and clear this out. And since we're done with this, so let's close out of shadcn and let's open this back up. So here within Kinde Auth, we're going to go over to kinde.com, kinde.com. So that's kinde.com. And this is going to be an auth for modern applications, like it says. What you want to do is you want to sign up. So make sure you sign up for a free account. So when you sign up for a free account, it's going to have you log in or register using Google, Apple, or whatever. You want to make sure you register using the email for right now. So register using an email. So just add an email and then create a password for it. Make sure you're not using your actual email, like your actual email's password. So create a new password for this account. So when you do that, it's going to take you to a page that's called business. You just want to create what this app is going to be called. So for example, my business is called Blog YouTube. That's because that's what I'm using it for right now. And then for the second column or the second row, it's going to ask you the domain for it. So just create one. So Blog YouTube might be taken, so you can just say blog 5 or whatever, and then go ahead and proceed. Now make sure you're picking the one for Next.js. I'm not able to do it with you in terms of registration because for some reason anytime I do it, my screen recording cuts out. So this is the third time I'm actually making this application, this project for YouTube, because it keeps cutting out and I don't realize it. So anytime I use Kinde Auth, the web page, it cuts out from my screen recording. So I have to do this one separately. So I digress. So what you want to do is make sure you select it for Next.js, and then make sure you select use for existing application. Don't start a new one. So you just want to add to existing application. Don't create from scratch or anything like that, and don't use a starter kit. Just add to the existing application. So what you want to do is now within your business or my business, we can go to that application, and you're going to end up where it says quick start. So within quick start, what you want to do is we want to use existing code base, like I said, and remember this technology is Next.js, so it should look like this when you get to the quick start page. Now it's going to say, where is your project running? Mine is running on localhost 3000 because that's the port that Next.js tends to use if no other port is being if 3000 is not being used elsewhere within your system. So if you are using a different port, just make sure to edit that and change it from 3000, but theoretically it should be at 3000. And then what we want to do is we want to install the SDK via npm. We're not using yarn, so we're going to be using npm, so we're going to copy that. Let's minimize this, and then we want to just plug it in there, and it should take a couple of seconds to do. There we go. We can clear out of this, and then what we want to do now is within our environment variable, we have this .env.local file. We want to copy this, so we're going to go ahead and copy this, and then we want to place it within our .env.local file. Now when we do that, the only difference is here it says Kinde post login redirect to /dashboard. We're not going to be using /dashboard, so you want to remove this /dashboard and make sure it looks like HTTPS localhost 3000 like it does in logout redirect. So logout redirect and login redirect should have the same URL, so /dashboard should be taken out. And remember, you want to make sure .env.local is within your .git ignore, because this is a client secret that you don't want to be shared. So that's a big thing. So I'm going to go ahead and place mine in my .env.local file. Awesome. So when we're done with that, we also want to make sure that we come over to the bottom here where it says API endpoints. So here we want to make sure that we have an endpoint that can handle we want to create a route that can handle the auth endpoints, which is going to be in the API file, the API folder. So it's going to say create the following file. So let's go ahead and do just that. We're going to come over here, and within app, we want to create API. So a new folder is going to be called API. And within API, we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be called auth. Within auth, we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be Kinde Auth. So make sure it's within that array. And then within Kinde Auth, we're going to create route.js. Now all we have to do is copy this. Let's minimize this and place it in there and save. So that's it. We just created a file that will handle our auth endpoint. So we can go ahead and close out of that, close out of this as well. So that's basically all we're doing. So here, we're not going to use this right now, but we're going to use this later. So I just want to show you where we're getting it from. So here it says SDK ships with login link and register link components. So remember, it says components, which can be used to start the auth flow. It also has the logout link, so it's just not stated here. But anytime you see me use the login link and the register link as well as the logout link, just know I'm getting it from the SDK, the Kinde Auth SDK, and that's pretty much it. So you can go ahead and explore all the Kinde functions in the SDK docs, but we're not going to be doing that. So let's go ahead and head on. Let's open this up and let's head on back to details. And here, when we scroll down, you can see that. Let's see. Do we have? Okay, we're all good. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have a /dashboard here, so we should be good. So yeah, that's it. So we can just go ahead and close out of this, open this up. Awesome. So just like that, we have set up our authentication, and as you can see, it's way quicker than creating our own authentication because we don't have to deal with creating the middleware and things like that. So just like that, we're done. We don't have to use a database or anything. So everything's handled through Kinde Auth. So actually, we want to just start our project. So npm run dev. Awesome. So now we can go ahead and open this up and let's see how that looks. We can actually minimize this. Awesome. So here we go. Now we have, okay, so as you can see, we have this error where it says theme provider here. So first of all, let's go to page.js. Let's go ahead and delete all of this, so we don't need all this div and everything. So let's go ahead and delete this. Awesome. We'll go ahead and close out of that. And then with, let's see, layout, we want to make sure we import that theme provider. So that's where we're getting the error from. So we need to import theme provider. So we're going to say import theme provider, and we're going to save that. So now we should be all good. Awesome. So if we refresh this, as you can see, we have a dark theme, and that's because my system is set to dark theme. So my system is set to dark mode rather than light. So if you have a light mode, you should have a light background, a white background. If you have dark mode, you should see a dark background. So we also want to go over to our global CSS. We're not going to be using any of this, so we're just going to delete that, and we're just going to keep it at the tailwind. There we go. And we go ahead and close that out. So let's go ahead and clear this out. Awesome. And now lastly, what we want to do is we want to go over to Google, and we're going to say material UI icons. Awesome. And with material UI icons, we're going to open this up, and we just want to get the command to install it. So we're going to scroll up, and we're just going to copy this command. We can close out of this, and we're just going to install that command here. So let's see. Oh, it's running, that's why. So let's clear this out, and let's install this. And while that's installing, let's go ahead and open another tab, and here we're going to say material UI. So not icons, just material UI this time. And here we're going to state, let's open this up, and let's just install this. So copy that, close, and this is still installing, so let's give it a second. All right, so it's all done. Now we can come over here, and we can just install that as well. Awesome. Now we can go ahead and clear this out, and we can run this again, and let's go ahead and so we'll just give it a second. Now we can just refresh this. Awesome. So we're all set. So what we want to do now is we want to create, so let's close out of this. So what we want to do now is we want to create within our source folder, let's close all this out. Within our source folder, we want to create a new folder called context. So this is going to be called context, and then a new file within context, and this is going to be called saved items.js. So saved items.js. Cool. And what this is going to be doing is, so remember in the demo, I said we're going to be able to store our blog post that we save within the local storage. So in order for that to happen, we need the logic that's going to save those items when we toggle the heart icon. So this is where we create that logic and send it globally to throughout the application. So rather than creating a new logic for the toggle and to save items and to fetch the items within every single component, we're going to do it in one component or in one file or component, and then we're going to use that globally within our application. So that's what this context folder and this saved item.js file is doing. So let's go ahead and create that. Just before we create it, just pay attention to the fact that it is a client component. Throughout this application, we're going to be using a lot of client components as well as server components. So for authentication and things like that, we're going to be using more of the server side component than the client side component. And for the UIs and things like that, we're going to be using more of the client side component, as it's going to run smoothly and fast, and it's it's a mix of client and server-side components. So to begin, what we're going to say is we're going to say use client, and then we want to import React. From React, we're also going to be using use state. We're going to be using create context and use effect. So those are the ones we're going to be using. And now we want to create the context. So what we're going to say is export const saved items context is equal to create context. And now we want to create the provider component. So we're going to say export const saved items provider is equal to, and then we're going to put in children here. And then we're going to state const saved items and set saved items is equal to use state, and this is going to be an array, empty array. Now we're going to say use effect, and here we're going to state const saved is equal to json.parse, and this is going to be local storage.get item, and this is going to be saved items, and that's because we're going to be saving the IDs within our storage, local storage, as saved items. So else it's an empty array. Now we're going to say set saved items, and this is going to be saved, and then here we're going to use an empty array. Cool. So now what we want to say is we got to be within here. So now we're going to say const toggle save item is equal to, we're going to pass in the item as the argument, and now we're going to say let updated saved items. Here we're going to say if saved items that includes, and this is going to be item._id, then we're going to say unsave the item, and we do that by saying updated saved items is equal to saved items dot filter id, and it's going to be id does not equal, and this is going to be item._id. Here we're going to say else, and we're going to save the item with this logic. We're going to say updated saved items is equal to array spread operator saved items and item._id. Okay, so let's just explain what's going on here. So here we want to be able to toggle save item, meaning for the heart icon, we want to be able to toggle save and unsave. So here we declare let updated saved items, and then we're going to check to see if within the local storage, the item ID is there. So when we store something within, when we store our blog information within the local storage, what we're actually storing is that unique ID. So that way we can then use that unique ID to fetch the data when we go to our saved route. So in order to check to see if that item, if that ID is there, we say includes item._id. If that ID is there, if we filter and find that ID, then that means our toggle is meant to unsave it because it's already within the local storage. Else, if it's not within the local storage, if we can't find that ID within the local storage, then that toggle is meant to save that item. So that's what this is stating. So the first one, the first if statement is to unsave, and then the else is to save. So here we're now going to say set saved items, and it's going to be updated saved items, and we're going to say local storage dot set item, and this is going to be saved items, and then we're going to have json dot stringify, and this is going to be updated saved items. Cool. Now we're going to come down here. Let's see. Yep, we're going to come down here, and we're going to have a return statement, and here we're going to be returning saved item content dot provider, and the value here, these are the things we're going to be passing globally. So we're going to be passing saved items, and we're going to be passing toggle save item. Awesome. and then within it, it's gonna have the children. Awesome. So we go ahead and close out of that, and now we can come into layout. So let's go into app, and we'll find layout, and within layout, what we want to do is right after theme provider, we want to plug in saved item provider, save items provider, and we want to make sure it's surrounding the children here. Awesome. So we go ahead and close out of that. Now within our components, we want to create a new component, a new file, and this is going to be called nav.jsx. We also wanted to create a new component file called hamburger nav.jsx. Awesome. So our nav is going to be a server component, whereas our hamburger menu is going to be a client component. So here we can just say use client, and then we can say RAFCE, and we can save that. For nav, we can export it by stating export async function, and this is going to be nav. And then at the bottom here, we can just say export default nav. Cool. And now we want to use, so let's do this. So let's minimize this. All right. So now this allows us to see what we're working on. So now let's refresh this. We can come over to, where is it? We can come over to layout. And right after saved item provider, we want to plug in that nav component. Awesome. And close out of that. So here, when we return, let's just say nav. Let's see if we see it. Awesome. So as you can see, it says nav right there. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. We're just going to create our nav. So here we're just going to change this to nav. We're going to change this to nav. And for nav, the class name here is going to be width full. Height is 8 view height. We're going to say fixed. And this is going to be top 0, left 0, right 0. And then we're going to have background is black. We're going to have flex items is center, and justify between. We're going to say text white, and we're going to say padding X of 2, Z of 50. We're going to say fonts Poppins. We're going to say capitalize. Cool. Awesome. And now we're going to have a div. And within this div, we're going to have a class name, and it's going to be flex items center, text white, and a padding here is going to be 3. We're going to say link. So we're going to import that, and href is going to be to the home. And then over here, we're going to say h1 class name is going to be font bold, and this is going to be blog. Cool. Let's make this look good. There we go. And now we can close that div up and then open up another div, and this div is going to be class name flex items center. This is going to be space x, and this is going to be 4. We're going to import that mode toggle that we had earlier, and this is going to be to toggle between light and dark mode. And then we can now import that hamburger menu, so hamburger nav, or hamburger menu, whatever you want to call it. Awesome. So now, as you can see, we have this toggle, so we can go to dark mode, and then we have this hamburger menu. So we're done with nav for right now, so let's just move it over to the side. So let's bring hamburger menu over here. So within hamburger menu, we're going to be importing these. So we're going to use menu icon from material icons menu, and close icon from material icon close. we're also going to be using the save icon. So we're going to be using all three of these. So we're just going to import that. And then within the hamburger nav, we're going to say const open set open is equal to use state, and this is going to be false. And this is for our toggle. So we're going to say const menu ref is equal to use ref, and this is going to be null. So we just got to import use ref. Cool. And now we want to import that saved items we had from the context. So we're going to say const saved items is equal to use context, and this is going to be saved items context. Awesome. Now we want to write our function to open the toggle, so to open our hamburger menu, and we're going to do this, and this is going to be set open, and this is going to be true. We're also going to say const handle close is equal to set open, and this is going to be false. Now we can have a use effect, and here we're going to say const handle click outside is equal to event, and then we're going to have if menu ref dot current, and it menu, there's no menu ref dot current dot contains event dot target. There we go. Then we want to close, so set open to false. So what this is saying is, if you have a hamburger menu open or a hamburger nav open, and you click something within the nav, you want once you click that item within the nav, you want the hamburger menu to close. Also, if you click something within the page, so within the page that the hamburger menu is open on, you select something there, you want that hamburger menu to close. So you don't want to select something like login within hamburger menu, and you're taken to the login page and the hamburger menu is still open. So this is this deters it from doing that. Now we can say document add event listener. We can now say mouse down. This is going to be handle click outside, and then we can say return document remove event listener, and this is going to be mouse down, and this is going to be handle click outside. Cool. And let's not forget to make this an empty dependency array. Awesome. So for this return, we're going to state cool. So for this return, we're going to have a div, and this class name is going to be pattern of 3, cursor is pointer. Here we're going to use that menu icon, and we're going to say onClick is equal to handle open. We're going to give it a class name of height 8, width of 8. Hover is going to be text foreground. And we're using text foreground because remember we imported the CSS, the CSS from shadcn. So we're using those CSS variables. So now we're done with this div. So as you can see, the menu icon displays on the nav. Now we want to use that another div, and we're going to say div ref is equal to menu ref. Class name here is a lot, so we're just going to import it and explain it. So let's do this. Let's just take this class name. Awesome. Let's make sure to close it. There we go. So what it's doing here is, let's save this. Let's make this look good. Awesome. So what this is stating is, for class name, we're going to have it as fixed, top 0, right 0, height full. And then on the medium screen, we want the width to be 35%, so medium and up. So for medium and up screens, we want the width to be 35%. And then for every other screen, we want the width to be full. Background is going to be black, and transform. Background is going to be black, and then we're going to have a transform. And then if the menu is open, we want to translate X0. If it's not open, then we want to translate X full. So meaning if we toggle open, we want translate to be X0. If we toggle it to be closed, then we want it to be translate X full. So now we're going to say transition, transform, duration is 300. So that's the animation, ease in and out, and the Z is 40. And after doing so, let's come over here. We can have another div, and this class name is going to be flex items center, justify end. We're going to say pattern is 5, font is bold, and we can go ahead and just close the icon. So close icon. So what did we import right now? Let's delete that. So it's going to be close icon. Class name here is going to be height of 8, width of 8. We're going to have cursor is pointer. We're going to have hover is going to be text destructive, and on click is going to be handle close. Let me go ahead and close that up. So let's see if it works. So if we open this up, we have this and it closes. That's awesome. So after doing so, we can come right after that div, create another div, and this class name is going to be width full. Height is going to be 50%. So 50%. We're going to say flex, justify center. We're going to say items center. Awesome. So here, now this is where that login link, logout link, and everything comes into play. So if we go back into nav, what we want to do is we want to access our authentication. We want to be able to get whoever's logged in or whoever's authenticated. And the way we do that is by coming up here, and we're going to say const get user equal to get Kinde server session. So remember, this is a server component. That's why this can work. And what all we have to change here is within this from Kinde OSS / Kinde Auth, Next.js, whatever. What we want to do is just take out this types and dist. Awesome. So it should be Kinde. So it should be at Kinde. So it should be at Kinde-OSS / Kinde Auth Next.js / server. So this is what it should be. Just make sure you modify that link to be this exactly. So you have get user, then we're gonna have const user is equal to await get user. Awesome. Now, if you want, you can console log the user to see who's logged in. So let's actually do that so we can actually know what's going on. So console.log and user, and because this is a server component, you should be able to see it within our terminal here. So let's go ahead and clear this terminal out. So actually, there we go. So as you can see, it has our credentials here, our ID, email. So family name here is blog, given name is test, username is undefined, phone number undefined, and we have this image right here. So this is since we're still logged into our Kinde Auth, this is why we're able to get this. You might have to relog back in in order to get this information. But this is basically the authentication step. So this is it. So when we do that, now we want to pass that data into Hamburger Nav. So what we want to do is we want to say user is equal to user. Awesome. And we have one more step up here. Here we want to say const is authenticated, and we're going to say is equal to get Kinde server session, and we're going to say const is user authenticated, and this is going to be equal await is authenticated. Cool. So now we're going to plug in is user authenticated, in here, and we're going to pass it in as a prop. So is user authenticated. Awesome. So now we can go back to hamburger menu, so we can close out a nav, and here we can have an unordered list, and it's going to be ul class name, text is white, flex column, justify center. We're going to state items center, and here we're going to say is user, oh, we have to pass it in here as well. So we didn't pass it in as arguments here. So we just got to come in here and pass in user and pass in is user authenticated. Cool. Now we can come down here and we're going to have is, so actually we're going to have if user, so user is not authenticated. So is user not authenticated. Then we're going to have, let's use a fragment here, and then, or let's use another fragment here. Cool. So if user is not authenticated, then we want to see a list, the class name, padding of 5, and we're going to call this login link. And remember, I said we're going to be using this, so login link on click, we're going to use handle close, and then we want a h3 class name, and this is going to be, let's close out of this for a second. So this is going to be transform, this is going to be transition, this is going to be duration is 300, hover is text foreground, and we can close out of that, and this is going to be login. Cool. So let's take this, and we're going to copy it. Actually, we're going to take the whole list. And then we're just going to copy it here. And for this, it's going to be register link. And we're going to do this. Cool. So we have register link. And here we're just going to change this to register. Cool. Let's see. Cool. And that's pretty much it. So what we have now is for if the user is authenticated. So if the user is authenticated, we're going to have a list item class name. So let's open this up so we can see, because we are authenticated, let's see what we get. So list item is padding of 5, text is 2XL, capitalize, and flex column, items is center, and here we can import image, so next image, and we're going to have key is going to be ID, we're going to have source is going to be picture, we're going to have height is going to be 100, we're going to have width is going to be 100, and then the alternate is going to be given name, given names, profile picture. Awesome. So you notice we're not saving anything yet because it will cause an error because we don't have all this, we don't have these variables declared yet. So border is 2, and here we're going to do this. So now up here we can come back up to the very top, and right after our use effect, what we can do is we can say const ID picture, we can state given name is equal to user, else it's an empty object. And where are we getting this from? So if we open up our terminal again, as you can see, we have the ID from user, we have the ID, the email, family name, given name, picture, username, phone number. So that's where it's getting it from. So we can go ahead and close, well, we just leave it open, it's fine. So we're getting all this from the user, and this is all the user right here. And then we can go ahead and save this. So as you can see, we saved it, but it looks kind of wonky. That's because our CSS is not done right. So let's go ahead and do this first. And let's open this up again. So now we're gonna figure this out. So what we want to do is we want to come over here to, where is it? Tailwind config. Is it Tailwind config? No. Next config. And we want to add, we want to configure it so that we're able to get the image and things like that. So it's a lot to type out. So I'm just going to copy and paste and go over it with you. So what we want to do is we're just going to comment this out, paste this in there. And what we're pasting is, so here, let's bring this down a bit. Cool. Here, as you can see, all this has been, let's bring this up some. All this has been commented out. So what we're doing is we're passing in images. So we're adding images, remote patterns, and then here we're going to be using sanity.io for the images. So you can put this in there for sanity.io so you don't have to come back and do that. And then it's going to be protocol HTTPS, hostname is cdn.sanity.io, the port is an empty string, path name is /images/ 2 asterisks, and it's going to be a string. And then we're going to do the same thing for gravatar.com, which is what this is, which is what Kinde Auth uses, and we're just going to plug this in. I used GitHub to test it out to see if GitHub as a provider logs in for me, so I use this as well. So if you want to add GitHub, you can also add this in there in order to get the image from GitHub. If not, it's cool, but this is practically all of it. So that's it. We can go ahead and close this out, and then we can go ahead and save. And then when we save, what we want to do is let's refresh this. So it's going to take a second to refresh. And then when we come back here, as you can see, we don't have that alternate anymore because our image is actually fetching. So the reason why you don't see an image is because I don't actually have an image. But the project doesn't realize there's no image coming back because we have an image, we have a string here for picture. So if this was empty, then it would give us that alt given names profile picture. But because this isn't an empty string, it's actually giving us, it's just going to be dark. Let's go ahead and finish this up. So here we're going to have h2, and then here we're going to say class name, and it's going to be margin top is 4, transform, and we're going to say transition, duration is going to be 300. So we're going to have high, and it's going to be given name. There we go. And the given name is test, so it's going to be high test. And then let's fix this up. Cool. And then we're going to have another list item. So right below this, we're going to have list item, class name. This is going to be relative, and this is going to be padding of 5. And within this, we're going to have link href is going to equal /saved. So we're going to have a /saved route, and then on click, it's going to be handle close, and we're going to have badge. So I don't know if we imported that yet. So badge should come from material UI, and we're going to have badge content, and this is going to be saved items.length. So what this is doing is, depending on how many saved items you have within the local storage, it's going to fetch it and going to tell you within the badge is going to display how many items are saved within your local storage. So that's what this badge is for. And then the color here is going to be secondary. Cool. Now we have save icon, and this is going to be class name, for dark. So for dark mode, it's going to be text white, and then text is going to be 5 vmin. Then we're going to have hover, text is going to be foreground. Cool. Let's see if that works. So link did not import, so link, next link. There we go. What link did we have before? So it didn't import, so it doesn't matter. So, okay, so now if we look over there, we can see that it says we have 7 items saved. How, I don't know. Oh, okay, I think I get why. So, it's, okay, I get why we have 7 items saved. So within my local storage, I already saved some items using the same, I think same authentication, so it's fine. But this is what it looks like. So it looks like this, saying 7 items are in the storage. So what I can actually do is I can go into let's do this. So I can go into my settings. Oh, not settings. I can go into inspect. I can go into application, and then as you can see, local storage has a bunch of things. Where is it? So saved items here, and as you can see, it's an array of a couple of things there. 6 items, well, 7 items. So what I can do is I can go ahead and delete the saved items and close out of this. And this is just so if I go ahead and refresh this, as you can see, there's nothing saved, so it's empty. So that's all we're doing here. Awesome. So that's a taste of basically what we have going on. So we can come back to nav here, and we can just take out this console log because we don't need it anymore, and then we can clear this out. Awesome. So that is it for our, oh, actually, no, we still have to do the log out. So we have another list item. So for this list item, we're going to have class name. The padding here is going to be 5. We're going to state logout link, logout. There you go, logout link. On click here is going to be handle close. And then we're going to have button. So let's make sure this button is coming from UI button. And the variant here is going to be destructive. Cool. And then we're going to have h3 class name, and this is going to be dark, text white, and we're going to have logout. Cool. So this is it. It's going to be logout. So why is it not? Let's see. So why is button not working? So let's do this. Import button from at slash components slash UI slash button. Okay, so that should work. Weird. But we can fix that later as we go along. So for right now, let's make the view here, appearance, zoom in a little bit. There we go. So here we have logout. And if you hit logout, it should take you back to the login page. So let's make sure we have everything done there. Awesome. So this is what it's going to look like. And then with logout, it's just going to be pattern 5. Logout link is on click, handle close. Button variant is destructive. H3 is class name, dark, text white, and we just have logout here. And let's see, button, and then logout link, list item, and we're all good. So let's open this up. Awesome. So this is it. So at the bottom here, we just have export default hamburger nav, semicolon, and that's it. So we're all set. So let's see if this actually works. So if we click on logout, it says this page could not be found, app auth logout. So upon looking at it, the error is not actually within Kinde Auth. The error is in 2 parts here. So here we have Kinde, we have at Kinde -oss/Kinde a -auth -next.js /components. So what we were failing to do was here /components wasn't added, so it just ended at Next.js. So we have to make sure that /components is also part of it, and then we can close it out there. And then lastly, within route.js, when we created it, or when I created it, I made the letter K here uppercase, so it should be lowercase k and then uppercase A. So this should be in camel case. I made the error of making this uppercase K and uppercase A, so you should change that to camel case, where K here would be lowercase and then A here would be uppercase, and then everything within it is still as is. So everything should still be what it was before. We're just changing the name of that folder. That's it. So we go ahead and close. So now if we take a look at it, so we have register link, login link, and logout link. So that should be it. So if we come into login and register here, so currently I am logged out. So if I wanted to log in, I could just come in here and then hit login, and then this should take me to this page. So if I open this up, this should take me to the register page, or the sign in page. So if I wanted to, rather than signing up, I can go back and then I could state register. So we could just register instead. So that's how we can do this. We can either log in or register. So I'm not going to do either of that right now, but it should work. So we're all good in that regard. And then as you can see, when we logged in, we had the image and all this, and now that we're logged out, we're now authenticated, we have the login and register. So that's all we're trying to do here. So with that said, we're pretty much done. So here it ends with export default hamburger nav, semicolon, and that's it. So we're pretty much done with this hamburger nav. So now we can go over to components, and we can create a component called banner. So within components, we're going to create a new file, and this is going to be called banner.jsx. And within banner, we're going to have export default async function. So let's make this bigger again. So appearance, zoom in one, let's do this, and let's just make this bigger for right now. Async function, and this is going to be banner. So here, let's keep it this way for right now, and let's just save that. So within, let's do a return actually. So return, and then here we're just going to say banner, right? And then we're going to come into page.js, and we're just going to import that. So banner is going to be imported, and we can save that. So when we minimize this, banner should be up here. So let's go to banner, and let's give it a class. So div, let's say class name with full height full, and then we're going to say padding top of 8, view height of 8. Let's go with 8, or 8 view height. There we go. So as you can see, banner shows up here, so that's perfectly fine. So this is when we get into our Sanity.io. This is when we start working with Sanity.io. Why? Because in order to create our banner, we want to save that banner within our CMS. So in case we want to ever change it up, we don't have to go into the code. We can just go straight into our studio and then change up the banner there. So that's what we're trying to do now. So we're just going to create a banner, and then we're just going to save it within our Sanity Studio. So in order to do that, let's open this up, and then let's come down here. So let's close all this up. Let's go into Sanity folder here. So we're going to go into the Sanity folder, and as you can see, we're going to see schema types and everything. We don't need schema types at this point, so we're just going to go in and create a new folder, and this is going to be called schemas. So for schemas, we're going to say new file, and we're going to call this banner.js. We can also go ahead and create a new file now and call it post.js. So these are going to be for our blog post. So within banner, what we want to do is we want to create our schema for it. So we're going to say export const banner is equal to, and we're going to say name is going to be banner. We're going to say title is going to be banner. So let's make it capital. There we go. And the type of document it is, just document. So we're just going to call it document. Then we're going to create the fields, right? So it's going to be an array of objects. So the name is going to be title. So let's make this a string. We're going to say title is going to be image title for this field. And then the type is going to be string. So let's make this lowercase. And now we're going to give it a validation in order to make sure that the image title is required. So we're going to say validation and a rule. So we don't need that. So it's just going to be rule, and it's going to be an arrow, and it's going to say rule.required, and this is going to be .error. So if it's not there, we're going to have the error image title is required. Awesome. And now we're going to create a slug. So our slug is going to be, so let's go ahead and do this. So we're creating our slug here, and we're going to say name, and the name here is going to be slug, and the title here is going to be slug, and our type here is also going to be slug, and the options, we're going to have the source be title. Now we're going to have validation. This is going to be rule. So actually what we can just do is we can just copy this. Awesome. And then let's make sure we have a comma here and place this in there. So here we're just going to say slug is required. Awesome. Now we want to do the same thing. So let's go ahead and do this, but we're just going to copy this, and this is going to be for the image. So here we're going to call the name image. Here it's going to be image, and the type is going to be image, and the source is not going to be source, it's going to be hotspot, and this is going to be true. And here what hotspot is doing is it's going to enable image cropping. So validation here is going to be rule.required error, and then it's going to be image is required. Awesome. So yeah, so hotspot is going to be true, and then error image is required. Cool. So we have one last one, so let's go ahead and take this, and we're going to make the name here going to be date created. The title here is going to be date created. The type here is going to be date time, and as you figure, this is going to be in order to know when this field was created. And then for valid, so we're taking out hotspot, the options hotspot, we're going to take that out. And then validation is going to be date created is required. Awesome. So just like that, we're done with our schema. So we can go ahead and just close out of that. For post, we don't have anything right now, so let's just close out of that. And then what we want to do is, so if we go back down to schema types in this index, what we want to do is we want to place that schema within it. So here, export con schema, we want to say types, and then we want to just put in, let's put in post as well. So post, and is it post or post? What do we call it? Post with an S. So we're going to say post. Okay, so we didn't export it yet, I guess. Let me see. Banner. yeah, we didn't export post because there's nothing in post to export. So types, we're just going to keep it as banner, and that should export. So yeah, so that's fine. And then we'll just go ahead and close out of this. Okay, so now that we have our banner schema set up, what we can do is, because we have Sanity Studio embedded within our application, what we can do is we can simply come here and say localhost 3000/studio. So that should take us to Sanity Studio. So as you can see, it says compiling studio. So let's give it a second and let's see where it takes us. Okay, so we have /studio 200, so that means it was successful. And then we're asked to use our login provider to log in. So we're just going to use email password. So we should automatically be logged in. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, we're automatically logged in. As you can see, our content here, we have that banner content. And then what we want to do is we want to hit this create new document. And you can see we have the image, we have the slug, image, and create. So we have the image title, slug, image, and date created. So as you can see, we have this schema built out. So that way we don't have to just, so for example, if you wanted to change the banner image, you don't have to go into the code, remove it, and do all that. You just use the CMS to do so. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna look up what I used for my my image. So I'm just gonna use that. Actually, for the image title, we're just gonna call it banner image, just because the slug, we can go ahead and generate it. The image, so for the image, I already have an image that I have on my desktop. So we're going to use this image, and as you can see, it just uploads. That's it. And then date created, we can go ahead and select the calendar and select the date, and we're just going to say set to current time, and that's it. So we go ahead and just publish. So as you can see, it says banner image was published, and we're all set. So now all that remains is for us to fetch this data. So let's go ahead to Vision, and this is where we query all the data we need. So in order to query the database, or in order to query Sanity.io, so the query language that's used, or the database language that's used, is Grok. I believe it's G-R-O-Q, so Grok, G-R-O-Q. And the way it works is quite easy to pick up after you do it a certain amount of time. So here we want to be able to get the data that we saved within the schema. So what we're going to do is we're going to state, we're going to say type, let's do this, type is going to equal banner. So that's what we're looking for. Awesome. And so if we fetch this right now, okay, so it should be 2, not 3. There we go. So type is equal to banner. It pulls up one item. So what we want to say is type is equal to banner, and then we want to say title. Let's see if we fetch title. Let's see. There we go. So we forgot this asterisk right there. So we want to say asterisk type is equal to banner, and we want the title. So as you can see, the title pops up. We want the current slug to be slug.current, and then we want the image, and we want the date created. So let's see. Awesome. So this is it, and we want to get the first. There we go. And this is what pops up. So these are all the items we need. So as you can see, it wasn't that hard to get all 4 properties. So we're gonna get this, and what we want to do now is we're gonna copy this. So let's Control C, and then we can head out of here. So let's just go over to localhost 3000, and we can minimize this. So within within banner, so we can go back to banner.jsx, and within this, remember this is a server component. So what we want to do is we can bring this down, and we can state a sync function, and we can call this get banner data, and this is going to be const query is equal to, and we're going to use backticks, and we're just going to paste that in there just like that. And when we're done with that, we can come back down here, and we're going to say const data is equal to await client dot fetch, and we're going to fetch query. Let's see, query. So this should be within here. Cool. So we're going to fetch query and semicolon, and now we can return data. So as we do this, let's go ahead and do that. Awesome. So we can go ahead and fetch data. So we can also just you just leave it this way. That's fine. And then for banner, what we want to do. So what we want to do now is we want to come down here and say const data is equal to await get banner data. Cool. Now we can go over to return, and for return, we can go ahead and state, let's take all this out. Actually, let's do this so you can see what's going on. Wait, what? So let's see. So it says await is wrong. So a sync function, okay. Const data is equal to await clients.fetch. Okay, so that's why. So client here wasn't fetched. So let's fetch client. There we go. So it's going to import the client. And now client should be defined now. So let's refresh this. And let's see. It should work fine. There we go. So it works perfectly fine. And then now we can go over to this div here and just do this. Cool. So now we can go ahead and say div class name is going to be relative. We want to say width is full. We want to say height is full. Overflow is going to be hidden. We're going to say padding top is going to be 7 view height. And now we're going to say image. So we're going to import image from next image. And the source here is going to be, and this is going to be important because with Sanity, you cannot just import the image. You have to go ahead and state URL for, and then you're going to say data.image and .url. So that's how we're going to get the image. So we're going to say source is that. We're going to say alt is going to be data.current_slug. We're going to say width is going to be 1920. Height is going to be 700. We're going to state style, and the style is going to be object fit, which is going to be cover. Awesome. And we're going to say priority, not property, priority is going to be set to true. Awesome. So we're going to save that, and let's make it look better. Cool. So as you can see, our image has been fetched, and just like that. So we didn't have to really code anything major out. The most we had to do was just get that data from Sanity, and we did that within this component because it's a server component. So with this being a server component, it also is able to load fast. So with in comparison to a client component. So that's a great advantage of this. So now that we have that, we're now able to get our now that we have this, we're now able to get our post. So we can go over to, so we're done with banner and we're done with page. So what we want to do now is we want to go over to our components, and we're going to go ahead and build out in components. We're going to create a new file, and this file is going to be called hero data. There we go. And we're going to say export default async, and this is going to be function, and this is going to be hero data. Cool. So here we can also return just to see what we have. This is going to be div, and we're just going to say hero data. Save that. Now we want to go into our page, and within page we're going to place in hero data below banner. There we go. So as you can see, hero data. So this is where our blog post is going to be. So this is where it's going to reside. So we're going to close this. And now for hero data, it's going to be similar to what we did within our banner schema. So we're going to use post schema to create our hero data, or this we're using the data within post, fetching it and placing it within hero data. So let's go over to that schema page. So we're going to go over to our schema file, sorry. So we're going to go over to post, and within post we're going to build it out just like we did the banner. So let's go ahead and build that out. So what we want to say here is export const post, and here we're going to name it post. We're going to say title is going to be post. We're going to say type is document, and then we're going to come over to fields. So it's going to be an array of objects. So the thing is with, let's make this bigger. So the thing is with post, it's going to be a lot. So I'm going to copy and paste my schema in here, and then we're going to go over it. So we're going to come there, and then we're going to do this. Cool. So here our fields is going to be, let's close out of this. So here, this is where our fields going to look like. So you go ahead and pause it so you can also see it. So here with fields, you're going to have the name title. The title is going to be called title. The type is string, and this is for the title, like it says. Validation rule here, it's telling you that this is required. If not, you're going to get the error saying title is required. For slug, you're going to say name is slug, title is slug, type is slug, option source is title. So it's taking a title and creating a slug out of it is what it's basically doing. Validation here is the same thing. Slug is required. Here, description, name is description, title is description. So as you can see, what they have in common is title is typically in uppercase. So title is typically capitalized is what I meant to say. So title is capitalized, type is text, validation. So here we give it, we let the system know that it's required. However, we have a max of 250 characters for description. If there's an error, then we're going to throw description is required and should be 200 characters or less. And then we have main image. So after main image, the title is going to be main image. The type is going to be image, and then the options is going to be hotspot true, and this enables image cropping. So we're going to do the same thing for validation. This is going to be rule.require.error, main image is required. Now we have image URL. So with image URL, the name is going to be image URL. The title is going to be image URL. Type is URL. So description, this is going to be optional. So because the user can either provide a direct image URL or upload an image. So if the image URL, so if since it's optional, if a direct image URL is provided, it will override the uploaded image. So they both counteract each other. So you can either have a URL or you can upload an image from your system. So if one or the other is done, then it'll counteract the other one. So here the name is content, title is content, the type is array. So when you place content within Sanity.io, it's typically a good idea to use an array to input it as an array. And then we're going to say of type is block. Validation here is going to be rule.require.error, content is required. Then the author, same thing. We have author, title is author, type is string, validation rule.require.error, author is required. So name here is lowercase author, title here is capitalized author, and then the type is string, validation rule.require.error, author name is required. So we're going to do the same thing for date created. So we've already done date created. It's the same process that we did within banner. And then for category, the name is going to be category, title is category, type is string, options. So because my application, my blog post is like video game, is catered towards video games, my options are a list of title of PlayStation, value of PlayStation, title of Xbox, the value of Xbox, title of Nintendo with the value of Nintendo. And then the layout is going to be radio. So if I wanted to, I could use a drop down, but I want to use a radio option. So validation here is going to be rule.required, error, category is required. And that's pretty much it. So we go ahead and save that, and we can close out of that. So now we want to go into schema types within index, and we're going to put in post. So let's see, it should import post. Let's see, where did we save it as? Oh, we saved it as posts. So let's save it as posts. There you go. And then let's come back in here and let's say posts. Cool. So in here, just make sure it's export const post with an S, and then you can then close out of that. And then the types here is going to be post, and then you can save that. And then you go ahead and just close out of that. So within index, once again, we have the types, which is just banner and a post, and just make sure they're both imported correctly from schemas, schema/banner and schema/post, banner. So import banner from schemas/banner, and then import post from schemas/post, and then have the types be banner and post, and that's it. So we just created the schema for our post. So this is where our blog posts are going to reside, or is going to reside. We're not going to work on that right now, so we're going to end it here for today. So as you can see, we created our banner, we created the nav, and we created our authentication. We've also created our light mode and dark mode. We're going to go ahead on the next one and work on our hero data portion. We're also going to work with the database a bit more, and we're going to tweak a few things within the nav, like the light mode and basically the mode toggle. We're going to work on that a bit more, just in terms of the UI. We're going to make it more appealing. But this was just an intro to let you guys know what working with the CMS looks like, a headless CMS looks like, such as Sanity.io. In the next couple of episodes, or next couple of videos, so I'm guessing this is going to be a 3-part series. So in the next one, we're going to work on the hero data and more with the database. We're also going to clean up some of the UI stuff within hero data and the navigation, most especially the mode toggle. And then on the last one, we're going to work with the saved database and comment section. So that we're going to be using Prisma, not Prisma, we're going to be using Supabase, as well as Postgres SQL within Supabase to save our comments. So I'm gonna try and make sure this is a 3-part series. Shouldn't be too long. But with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying this. Don't forget to share it if you are enjoying it also. So once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.